On. Control. Can't be doing with this music. It's not as bad when Josh was here, but now I'm on my own again. Can't do it, mate. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Nothing I can do. 5-finger differential. Do you think guys listening to it? 5-finger death punch. We're excited. Up. Hang on. Come on. Can't be getting complacent now. We gotta keep going. Some hella leg DOMs. Thanks, Pat. Oh, right. How are we? I hope we're all good. Welcome to the video today. It is new training split time. Feels so weird saying that. Did the same bloody thing for like 14 months. So this is going to be like a series within a series. We're going to take you through obviously each individual session now. Went through obviously the YouTube video. So now we're actually going to get into the sessions. So we're starting today is Monday with the back session. With D-handle pull down, of course, to kick things off. What's hilarious now, right, just for, obviously, people knock the D-handles and all the cuff stuff. But what's cool now is hopefully, as these next couple of years come along, more people will turn pro doing it this way and start to be able to tell these old school lots to fucking do one. So it's great, I'm part of it. So get those D-handles out. But then we are going to be going into my hip hinge movement of choice, which is going to be the barbell row. So we are loading up that posterior chain. We are creating tension from the glutes and hams. So that's what we're going to go into next. And then we'll get stuck into the session. We'll run through it as we go. So it's time to get back to work. This is the 3rd week post second show, 5th week post first show. We are very much in the fake natty realm of the TRT. So strap in and enjoy. Let's get into the barbell row. The old classic warm up. Oh, that'll do. Yep. Ready to go.
Just some club somewhere. It was about 6:15 in the morning. I'm drunk and I'm high.
To the pump up the boiling for the 9-5, you know what I'm saying? The sounds of breaking in the house, so come on.
Ooh, yeah. So, a little tip for your barbell row. First point of call, as we're rowing, we never want that lower back to round. Give or take maybe a little bit, but you want to keep that back as flat as you can. You should be able to get a PVC pike, and the only contact points should be your head and your bum. Everything nice and aligned. You know, we wouldn't go into a chest press and be like this. You know, so it's the same thing when we're rowing. So find a point where you can get to. I'm keeping a stiff leg as I'm trying to generate tension through the glutes and hams. The next point of call, when you're rowing, we're really trying to emphasize, in this movement in particular, mid-back and the lats. So we're challenging the lats through this way. So a good tip with your grip, you've got the grip fixed. Imagine you're trying to split the bar in half as you pull. Use the little fingers. A little bit of dexterity here will actually switch the lats on here. As we're traveling down, we're still trying to keep the lats tensed as we can as well. All the time. Don't just let it relax just because you're traveling down. Tension first. Nail that execution. Slowly move the weight up. And then that's how you really actually get use of a barbell row in your programming. So it's a new one going in. There's some new tips coming your way. I've got another set coming up. Then we're on to the next. So we have now got the humbler, sill row. So this next movement is all about, imagine that lat spread or back shot, where you see the upper back through the middle separate and bring out the definition more. That's what this bad boy is for, that upper back development. So big thing with this one, which you'll see, is the emphasis on that stretch position. And the key note is when we're driving up, we want to use the back as much as we can. We don't want to use momentum. So the concentric phase, so the drive phase, it isn't a matter of like whomping it up from here. We want to be able to control it throughout. So when you're doing your sets on here or anything really, if someone said to you stop at any point of the rep, you should be able to stop. That would determine that you're using the muscles to use the weight. So what I see a lot with people with their back movements is they lose control straight away because they're going like full throttle from the start, which is creating momentum here, so it loses tension here, and then they maybe get a little bit at the end if they control the contraction. What we want to be able to do is control, and if you said stop to me at any point, I should be able to stop because I'm using the muscles the whole time. So that's a big thing with any training, but particularly with the back. So don't just drive up and out of that hole. Don't get too caught with just solely, I need to beat my logbook, I need to beat my logbook. Create tension first, and then progress slowly over time. Ooh, yeah. So that's the other important thing to note. So if we use another muscle group for an example, we always want to get into that stretch position. And most muscle groups other than the back, it's quite simple, isn't it? Bicep curl, what's the stretch position? Obviously the arm going straight. You don't have to think, oh, do I need to try and bend my arm or anything? Tricep, up, down, chest, we come to a point where we can feel the stretch. Whereas with the back, there's a bit of a misconception of what stretching the back looks like. So if we think that our back muscles are attached to our ribs, and which way do our ribs go? They go around, right? So for one person, they might think stretching their back, because their arms are straight, that the back's being stretched, and they pull up from here. Whereas realistically, you've still got so much more here available. That massive difference in range of motion. Imagine all those muscle fibers stretched now, and then we can squeeze them hard, come into here. Whereas if you come in just to here, you're not actually achieving the stretch. It'd be like doing a bicep curl and only come into here. Or doing a pec fly and only come into here. So understand with your rows, we're trying to stretch these muscles so we can come right down. Whereas with the lat, when we're doing a lat pull down, that comes into here, right? So that's when you hear me say, right, we need to keep the shoulder fixed and come up to here, because it only comes to here. We don't do this because it comes out of line. Whereas when we're rowing, everything's in a straight line. So we want to be able to stretch as much as we can. And that would be a massive thing to take away from today's video. If you feel like your back's struggling with your rows, stretch it out. Feels very weird being on my own now again. Very weird. Yeah. Obviously, you guys follow the journey, obviously, and follow, no doubt, Josh's as well. It's hard to put it into obviously words, you know, we didn't just spend like nearly every day together for 2.5 months, but went through like such a, I suppose to use the word term, a traumatic experience like prep is, where you're both just suffering so much. You both know it. You're both trying not to bring the energy down, but you're both fucked. So yeah, it's definitely a strange experience, especially because before that I was so used to training on my own. So now it's like, right, self-regulation, logbook, get into your own zone and just and rebuild that momentum. Obviously he's one of my closest friends as well, so let alone the prep. I'm sure if any of you guys, whether it be like a holiday, I suppose, to put it into context, you have those great memories and you're back to your routine. That's kind of what it feels like. I suppose like holiday blues, let alone with obviously everything else, how it went for myself and how it went for Josh. We had that little bit of a bittersweet sort of feeling as well. So, come on. Come on. Control. Oh, there we go. Ooh, a couple of poo reppies in there. Oops, can't win them all. Alrighty, so final movement of the day. Pull over to failure. So you gotta find, usually I kind of do look to do that first, but I was kind of finding because I had too much energy in the tank. It's kind of taken a long time. I personally found I was getting that connection quite nice in the short range, but I wasn't really getting much out of it anywhere else. So I've kind of opted to do like, all right, let's save that little bit of energy in the short range for the bigger lift initially. And then now I'm completely spent. You know, I'm gonna have to lighten it versus what I do at the top. And I should find that I'm gonna get a nice, better connection throughout the whole movement. And then just really finishing off the lat and taking it to true mechanical failure in a safe position. Alternatively, what you could do if you fell up for it, basically a single arm row. Same thing, isn't it, right? So there we go, we're gonna finish it off, and then we got the never-ending journey of getting bigger arms. I looked at my shots, my overall win, when I actually had a pump and the pro debut when I was basically just a broomstick. And you still need bigger arms, mate. Come on, we keep on bloody going. Let's do it. Oh. So another little tip. If you're doing your straight arm pull down, feeling your tricep, adopt the foot position I've got. Instead of doing it like this, where you're just setting yourself up to extend at the elbow, bring your feet this way. Now what you're doing is you're aligning yourself now where you're going to encourage yourself to drag across and down, which in order to be able to do this, you have to use the lat. Whereas if you've got yourself here, what muscles can you use to drive the weight down? Is also the tricep, isn't it? You're going to be able to do this. Whereas if you're in this position, and you're coming around, it's a lot harder to get that tricep to do anything. So that's why you'll find I'm all like, well, hey. You could also go further down the optimal rabbit hole and argue that because the lat travels around the rib, we want to match that line with us coming this way to then come around, but that's a bit too optimal. Just stand to the side and then you'll feel it a lot more. Nearly fell over them. Sick. What was that noise? Got my GH's been, I can't control my throat. Ugh. First blooper of the new one. On to bicep training. Gonna give you the trifecta of peace for your arm development. First point of call. As you would have seen me spoke about before with triceps, do really recommend most of you probably doing single arm. Reason being, the most important thing with bicep training is we want to align the line of force, so the way the resistance is coming, we want to be able to align that in a straight line with the wrist, with the elbow, and with the shoulder. So what happens when we go to do a double arm movement most of the time? Line of force is vertical, for example. What usually happens? People's arms come in straight away. So now, the line of force is upwards, but this isn't in the same line. Doing this with two hands is really hard for most of us. So straight away, that's the first consideration. As soon as your line of force doesn't match your limbs, say for example, this happens, over time, what is the person going to experience? Elbow pain, shoulder pain. That's then going to restrict your ability to increase load. You're going to be feeling it in your elbow instead of your bicep. So if you can align things with the line of force of two hands, absolutely do it. Generally, I find with biceps in particular, because we're trying to get in a straight line here, doing that with two arms is so hard. Whereas triceps is a little bit easier, right? Because the wrist action doesn't dictate the engagement of the stretch of the tricep, because the stretch is here, right? Whereas with the bicep, we need to try and open up a little bit. So that's the waffle about why you should maybe do single arm for your bicep work. Not essential though, nothing's essential. But that's what I'm adopted personally, and what I've found has helped me take my arms from tiny to small over the last year. So if you find doing this movement, everything's nice and straight, but you're getting a shoulder pinch, keep this where it is, but just let this come inwards. You're not losing the line of force, you're taking the pressure off the shoulder. You can open up, it's probably a bit more comfortable, it's a bit easier to sort of counterbalance. But if you are in this position and you get a shoulder pinch, just close the torso off, and you'll find that will sort it right out. Short and range challenge. Now we're going to go into the mid-range. Line of force is vertical, so I need everything to line up vertical. So we're going to have something to give us a bit of a guide here, so I can create a nice straight line. Look, wrist, elbow, shoulder in a straight line. You go to your hammer cone, you go here, straight away, you've already fumbled the bag. So hold on to something, a little bit of a lean with the hip, everything's in a nice straight line, elbow stays in line with the rib, and now I'm making sure that I'm smashing it into the bicep. Keeping the injury risk at a minimal, and not using any delt to move the load. And then we finish off with the lengthening. So you would notice with that as well, I was going with the hammer grip. Just want to put some more emphasis through this part of the arm. If you want to focus on the bicep, you just keep it here. A little bit more forearm, hammer. And that can be the same for any of these. If you want to challenge this part of the short range, hammer curl this way, mid-range, what we just did, length and range this way. So just that little change there does switch the emphasis ever so slightly around the arm as well, depending on what your goal is. So for me, I want to bring up this part here as well. So there's some hammers along the way. There we have it. The first session of the new block, of the new game plan in the books. So as you would have seen at the end, I opted to do it as like in a giant set format. So I'd still logbook every single part of that lift, still aim to progress it. And it's obviously easily done. In the bank. I hope you enjoyed it. We will be going through more info with the weeks to come. I managed to cut my finger today as well. So another war wound, another battle scar in the gym. But for now, I will see you in the next one. As always, if you did like it, if you enjoyed it, little like, little comment, helps the newbie channel grow. At what point can we say it's not a newbie channel? Because we have embarked on over 2,000 subscribers, so we're still a newbie channel. So thank you, and I will catch you in the next one.